It's such a pleasure to have Phil Chouquette with us today. Phil knows this business of transportation both as an engineer. He worked for the West Virginia Department of Highways. He also was the commissioner of the Virginia Department of Transportation, and about a year ago this month started his own company. You've seen his name associated with the Jordan Bridge. Ladies and gentlemen, Phil Chouquette.
Thank you very much, Kathy. It's always good not to be introduced as the guy that flooded the Midtown Tunnel. I haven't heard anybody argue against better mobility. I mean, we own more cars in Hampton Roads than we have registered drivers. That says something about people's desire for mobility. So if we presume that people certainly value their mobility, and if we accept that at least statistically there doesn't seem to be a big party going on for more revenue, it leaves one to say, if I care, what can we do in the next 4 years? In the next 4 years, we're going to have somewhere between $12 to $14 billion to do something for transportation. How do we do something, and what is the biggest enemy we face? The biggest enemy we face may be another word that starts with a T, and not necessarily taxes, but time. To use the Midtown Tunnel as an example, any 3-year delay in building a new Midtown Tunnel will cost, in cost increases, the equivalent of a free high-rise bridge on I-64. So time is a terrible, terrible enemy in terms of the erosion of our transportation dollars. Where does all of that get us? Here's where it gets me. Do something. Build something. Thank you.
Wrapping us up today is Don Goldberg. He's the president of D.D. Jones Trucking, and he's a very interesting take on this. D.D. Jones is a trucking and a warehouse firm, so he certainly has that bit of experience around transportation. But he also served as Chesapeake's Director of Economic Development for 12 years, so he brings that piece of the puzzle to us as well. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Don Goldberg.
Years ago, when I was in economic development and going around the world and trying to bring industry and business and opportunity and jobs here, I used to tell the people when they landed and we take them around and we jump in the car and we ride around a mile a minute. We can get around a mile a minute. 20 minutes, I can get you anywhere you want to go. I'm sorry I can't say that today. And that was a big selling tool. When you're marketing around the world and bringing companies in, transportation, the ability to move about was extremely important. During those rush hour times, it becomes extremely difficult. I'm in the trucking business. I have 56 trucks a day on the road. Before, they were going out at about 6 in the morning, making their destinations and getting back in the evening. I now have them leave at 2 o'clock in the morning, making destinations throughout Virginia and North Carolina, and then hoping to get them back. There are all kind of rules and regulations on drivers. You can't have it so many hours in the driver's seat, and it becomes a real crisis on that end. But we have to get the goods out of the port and to their destinations. It becomes a real chore, and it becomes costly. And in the long run, you don't want to pay any more taxes, but in the long run, you're going to pay more for those goods and services when it gets to that shelf and when you buy it, because there's a lot of cost in between that has to be paid for. So you have to weigh the difference of where that is. And I thank you very much.
All right, so you've heard Dwight Farmer talk about the fact that we have to prioritize because we can't afford $30 billion. You've heard Senator Miller talk about her belief that we can't find transportation dollars from existing state resources. You've heard Secretary Homer talk about the fact that there are glimmers of hope, among them the Gilmerton, the Jordan, and the Midtown, that regions that are not connected to world economies will not survive, and that we have to strike a balance between enough tolls and too many tolls. You heard Phil Chouquette talk about the fact that time is the enemy, and we need to do something. And instead of telling people to pay more, we need to leave people wanting more, and then they'll be willing to pay more. And you heard Don Goldberg talk about the very real-world costs to his business when it comes to the issues of transportation and how they're affecting his business on a day-to-day basis. So I want to thank Ed Power from Inside Business and turn the program back over to him. Ed?
Thank you, Kathy. You've heard some sobering, even scary statistics and observations about the state of transportation in Hampton Roads, but I, for one, feel a lot better about where we're going with this situation, given the leadership from our panelists and Kathy acting as our moderator today. So let's give them a hand.